Hi guys, it's Sam. Today I'm going to be talking about my plans for my planner in 2021. I just posted a video last week where I moved in and kind of started setting up my Hobonichi weeks for 2021, which honestly I didn't think was going to be my planner for the year. I had purchased several books from Hobonichi's release for 2021's plans, and then I ended up selling all of them and kind of abandoning those ideas. And then I had kind of a whole planner meltdown happen where I was just kind of over all of it and wanting to go back to something more simple. And to be honest, I really just thought that I was going to use a notebook. I did very briefly for like a day, maybe two, try out the whole bullet journal thing, but I ended up with a dot grid because that's really what the bullet journal community had said was the best way to go, and that does not work for me, I found. So I ended up, after a lot of steps and tries and looking into things that nobody wants to hear about, just ended back up at a Hobonichi Weeks, which is what I used for a few years prior to the last year, plus some months. So it's not a planner that I'm unfamiliar with, and I really do enjoy these little planners. There are a few things about it that I wish would change and a couple of things that kind of bug me, but in the end I've just decided that they work well enough and everything is all in one little book and it's the whole year there already, and so we're gonna give it a go for 2021, and I'm really hoping that I stick with that. Now, after I moved into the Hobonichi Weeks and before I got this cover, which I purchased from a buy-sell trade group, I did start having like a freak out over leaving rings, and I ended up going back and moving back in. This is actually a Moterm cover that I also purchased from a buy-sell trade group. This one is in the color taupe, and so I moved back in and immediately I was like, oh yes, place for my cards, this is my happy place. And then I just kind of didn't want to be in it anymore. I'd actually moved into a Malden, which is, it's been my sweet spot for the year, but I don't know. I was bringing both with me, and at this point I didn't have the cover still, so I was just carrying it around just with the cover on cover, and I don't know. I had them both with me, and I started writing in both, and I just kept reaching for the weeks over the rings. And so at first I thought that the rings then was going to be my daily carry again, and that I would make the Hobonichi Weeks my like memory planner. In reality though, I'm not really good at that. I don't like copying the same information from one place to another, and I just found myself being drawn more to the weeks because you can just open it up and start writing in it, and you don't have to take it out and move with the rings, which I know is the hang up for a lot of people with rings, and it doesn't usually bother me. For whatever reason at this point in my life, I just don't want to do that. There is some information, however, in my rings that I do need to somehow transfer. I'm afraid of like cutting off the paper and slipping them inside of the weeks, because I'm kind of afraid of going back to rings and then kicking myself for taking the holes off. So I might just be transferring some information in the back pages of the weeks, but for now, rings do not have a place in my 2021 lineup, and honestly, I did not expect that to happen. So this cover came from the buy-sell trade group actually just last night. The mail has been super backed up with the holidays, but this is a yellow Giglio Appunto Slim, and it is lovely. I really adore character. This one has more character on the back than the front. I did want something that was all in one, so that I could have it as a wallet planner combination. This one, it's patinaing more on the clasp than the rest of it. I did give it a wipe down in a nice condition last night, so it feels nice. At first I wasn't sure if I was going to keep it because it wasn't just like bam, love at first sight, but I got a really good deal on it. Ultimately, I'll be selling some of my rings. I'd really like a green. If anybody's selling green, please let me know, because I really, really want one to go with this Toad Lily cover that I have for the year. I think that that would be lovely together, or burgundy maybe. If anybody has anything, reach out to me if you have a reasonably priced one. The other thing that I did was, after I was wiping it down and conditioning it, trying to decide if I was going to keep this or not, I decided that I was not going to be able to live with the ugly, horrible strings inside of it, so I clipped those out. I hate them. I wish they didn't put them there. But as you can see, I have this set up as my planner wallet combination. I just have a few die cuts down here for Christmas, because it is, I don't know, what is it, the 10th of January? No, 10th of January. It's the 9th of December. It's been a rough year. And then my cards that I use, this is where I would put cash if I had any money. I just have a couple of stickers stashed over here that I'll be using. These are these little itty bitty stickers from Carolina's Crafts, and these are stickers from Mandy Lynn Plans that I'm going to be using on like any kind of major anything within my week itself, to kind of mark that and bring it to my attention. So you have the pocket here for cash, you have a long pocket here, and then I have the Hobonichi slipped into the back pocket there. You have this little secretarial flap, and in here I have a little bit of blotting paper and the pencil board from several years ago that I pulled back out to carry with this planner, and then my weather stencil from journalthisnow.com. My Pilot Friction will not fit with the little rubber grip here, so I just have it attached with the clicker. I use the Friction more than any other pen in the Hobonichi paper. Right now, I generally don't use any kind of little things in my planner to keep track of, but right now I have this little elf hat, and this is from the Woolly Planner, and I love her, I don't know what this is really called. They're wool, so like knitted, no, they're not knitted, I don't know. But she makes planner clips and little beautiful things with wool, and this is a little elf hat, and I have that marking our Christmas stuff that we have going on, so that I know what's going on with purchases and who needs what and all of those things. I did slightly trim down the top. I started before I really thought about what I was doing. I needed to only do the back, and then I started with the front first. Why? Because I have no brain. But I did trim it just a little bit to make it a little bit easier to get in and out of the weeks, because I kept the clear cover on just to protect this cover. I just don't like things to get dirty. So there's that. And then of course there's the big back pocket, which I don't have anything in there right now, but I have found, even though I don't use that a lot, I do find myself using the big back pockets from time to time. Last night I did share on Instagram that I finally started, I did finally start decorating my inside of my weeks. Part of it was because I didn't have my sassy stickers that I wanted to use for the year in from Redbubble, and the other part was I was kind of afraid that I wouldn't stick with it, and I didn't want to use my stickers on something that I didn't use for the year. I used some favorite ones for 2020 and then ended up not using the weeks basically at all, and so I didn't want to repeat that. So I wanted to give it some time to see if I was really feeling it or not. So these are all from Redbubble, and instead of selecting like a vinyl, just a regular vinyl back, I selected clear for all the stickers so you could still kind of see the hobo through it. I did add this one since last night, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and order another Metallica one to go here. So that is my minimal decoration. Some years I have put things on the back. I don't think I'm going to bother with that this year. So the weeks is going to be my main planner. I have the Ollie clip here as my only other thing right now. When Martha Plans shop opens back up this weekend, I do plan on ordering a few of her like floating tabs as well, just to help with organization. And even though the Ollie clip is really slim, it does provide a little bit of bulk. And I think that part of the getting used to the Gillio also was that I had been carrying around this week's for 9 days or 8 days or whatever with no cover. And so I had been used to the Chic Sparrow covers, which were pretty slim. And this is a bit more bulky comparatively. But I just keep the clip to the month so I can easily go back and forth. And then my planning style is pretty simple. I did decide that I'm going to go ahead. I used to write my work schedule up here like this, but I didn't think I wanted to do that anymore. And so I have divided this section here, and I'm just going to put my work schedule at the top and then what we ate for dinner or our meal plan here. So just some Tombow to mark off my little sections. I do sometimes put trackers in here, but I'm not going to do that with Christmas going on. I think I'm just not going to give myself that kind of stress. So we're just a couple of weeks in, and I don't remember. It was a really crazy weekend for me at work, and I just, in the end, didn't put the weather in yet, but I did like screenshot it, so I will go back and put that in. But the Hobonichi Weeks then is my daily carry, and it's going to be my planner for the year. I was very surprised at this switch. So I had been using a pocket with like field notes, and I was using that for like prayers and sermon notes so that I always had it with me. I don't know, I just started feeling like I didn't have enough space, and I also wanted to have any kind of Bible study, anything. I wanted it all together, basically. So when I decided I wasn't going to use a cousin for the year, I was like, how do I use this cover that I have from Chic Sparrow? And this is a creme brulee A5 folio. And I love the design of this, and I love creme leather so much. And so I decided that I needed to incorporate an A5 somehow into my life. And so I went ahead and remembered that I had an A5 Stalogy just laying around that just never I never got going with it. And so I pulled it back out, and I was like, let's just try it for a day and see what happens. And I ended up really enjoying it and really liking the paper a lot more than I thought. And this isn't something that I would normally share because it's just my personal Bible study or whatever. I do like the fact that it's not dated, and I can use as much or as little as possible. Some of the days that I've used it, I've journaled, I've soaped, I've written down numerous scriptures and taken up the whole page, and then some days I've been able to put more than one day on a page. And I'm giving myself a lot of grace with this, and I'm really happy with it. I've really fallen in love with the paper. So I just have the page that I need to turn to clipped to the front with an Ollie clip. So this is an extremely simple setup, and I'm really enjoying it. And this isn't too big for me to take either I have two like main carries back and forth to work, either the Chic Sparrow Cheyenne tote or the Fjallraven backpack, like the bigger size. I've upgraded. I grew up, so I'm in the bigger, not the mini now. Although I think this would still fit in the mini. So either bag, I have plenty of room to carry around. And then on my days off, I'm usually in my Sydney satchel a lot because I carry much less just to run errands. So this Stalogy A5 in this folio is for Bible study, scripture, sermon notes, any kind of anything having to do with the Bible and Bible study. So that is going to be how I use this for the year. And then I decided that I loved that paper so much that I had to add to the stack. I hadn't decided what to do about journaling for the year because I had gone back and forth between using something dated and non-dated. I had originally decided I was going to use the cousin, remember, with my rings so that I would have the memory planner in the weekly view and then my journaling in the daily pages. But it was a bit too big for me, and I was kind of trying to like do like a brain dump and just writing things that, you know, I still do a lot of reading and listening to podcasts about the Enneagram and MBTI, which I'm still so confused. I think I know what I am in one, and then I'll try to make it match with like the other, and it's just something that I'm very interested in. So I take a lot of notes about that, but I don't find myself journaling a whole bunch, and I'm definitely out of the whole art journaling situation. I don't feel comfortable with that. I would rather just have a pen and paper, and if like something special happens, be able to shove a picture in here. And part of the reason why I chose this was the paper and not having to have the need for a fountain pen, which is how I feel about the Tomoe River paper, unless I'm using friction, and I don't want to journal in friction pen. The other was that I wanted a size that if I had, you know, any kind of memorabilia, that it would have a chance of fitting within the page. And so an A5 obviously would work really well, but most days I'm not going to need that amount of space. An A6 I felt would be a little bit too small, and so I just decided to try something different. I do have an A6 Stalogy that also I had tried and, you know, failed with, but I thought let's just go ahead and try this size. And so I do have a couple of entries in here, but it's like my personal, you know, it's not like art journaling, it's like my thoughts. So I'm not gonna probably really ever show you guys this, but just know it's in play. The only thing I have left is to figure out what I want in a cover for this one. So, I mean, it's probably gonna be a Chic Sparrow folio as well. I don't know, part of me just thought about getting a clear cover for it and putting an elastic through it to make sure that it stays closed, because I really don't want a whole bunch of bulk, but I also don't think that I can have everything else in leather and then not this book. So we'll see. But this was definitely a pleasant surprise for me, because I wasn't expecting to have Stalogy in my lineup at all, and now 2 books are Stalogy, which is so weird for me. Actually, nothing. I thought that I was going to make Hobonichi Weeks work somehow, but I don't think I ever intended it to be like my planner. I don't remember what I was going to use it for. But as far as I can remember, nothing that I have in this stack has I intended 2021 to be shaping up. So it's kind of a shock for me. And I'll keep you posted, and we'll see how this goes. And like I always say, I reserve the right to change my mind, but for now, I feel very peaceful about what I have here. I'm not going to be selling all of my rings, but I do know that I have narrowed down what my favorites are. So I have several ring Filofaxes that I'm going to be parting with. Again, I would like to get another cover for my Hobonichi Weeks, and I'll need a cover for this most likely. But other than that, I think that this whole planning, journaling, Bible study, all of these decisions have been made just in the nick of time. I am enjoying using this system, and I had forgotten really how much I liked it. You know, the thinner paper and the pen smearing whole thing, it does kind of bother me still a little bit, but it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. So if you haven't made your decisions for the year, maybe something that you saw here would work for you and give you something to go off of. And maybe you have had plans for the new year coming up for months in advance, and you're still in the same place. And if that's the case, good for you, because this has been like mental torture. So I'm relieved. I feel like I just have this stress build up inside me as I'm trying to make decisions. And once the decision is made, it's just like 4,000 pounds came off of me and I can breathe again. So I'm feeling really good right now, and I needed it because this year has blown chunks. Anyway, if this is your first time here and you've decided that you like it here, don't forget to subscribe. I really appreciate it. And to all of you who have stuck it out while I made it through all of my feelings over the last few months, I really appreciate you coming back. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Thanks so much as always for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye guys.